Welcome to Tiger Talks Wrestling. This is your host, Tony, and today I am joined by my guest. He is Mr. 999 Days, the longest reigning NWF Adrenaline World Heavyweight Champion, the current general manager of NWF Adrenaline H-Two.
Hey Tony, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Hey, it's going very well, thank you. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm breathing, so it can't be too bad, right?
I would agree with that one.
All right.
Okay. So I'll mention this again. We get more viewers in here, but if anybody comes in or is in wants to leave any comments or questions, put them in the chat section. We'll get to them.
Right on.
Okay, let's start with the origins of your backyard wrestling career.
Okay, so the awkward part about the origins is we can't find them. Most, man, we're doing like season 5 right now. I think it's like season 1, all of 2 except for the season finale, and some of season 3 is on my laptop, which is Deader Than a $2 Whore. Um, yeah, it's rough, but I have some stuff from season 3. I just haven't got around to editing any of it yet, and I honestly don't know if I will get around to editing any of it. But because I'm pretty busy with our current stuff, I'm part of the BEW production team. I help out a little bit with production for Proving Ground, and we got our own stuff that we're starting to cook up now. But I do have on my phone pretty much the origins. It all kind of started when me and AJ Gagliardo, our current world heavyweight champion, and my best friend, we both started at our first job at a grocery store, and we were just bag boys. We were just pretty much the bitches. And my mom came in for whatever reason. I don't think I was living at my mom's anymore, but she gave me a candy bar, and I have never really been too high on chocolate. I'm not really a big fan. And it was one of those ones they had just came out with when you twist it, you can separate it, and it's like 2 minis. And AJ was wearing a Cubs hoodie, and I'm a big Cubs fan, die hard.
Right.
So I gave AJ the other half, and then we just started shooting the shit. And he brought up that we were talking about like video games and other stuff that we had in common. And he brought up that the game that he played the most was SmackDown versus Raw or WWE, whatever. I can't remember at the time. I was like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, are you a wrestling fan? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh shit. And then ever since then, me and AJ have been like the best of friends. I backyard wrestled on my trampoline when I was real young. Is like I didn't have anybody to wrestle with other than like my dad on occasion and my Hulk Hogan stuffed buddy thing where he'd punch him in the stomach and he'd start to talk. But that was kind of like the early stages. It was like I remember the first time I ever did a moonsault, it was off my aunt's van onto a trampoline, and I thought that was the fucking shit. I was like, hell yeah. And but the real origins for NWF started with AJ, and he got a brand new trampoline, and him and his little brother were starting to like wrestle around on it and stuff. And he asked me if I'd ever want to come out and wrestle with them, and I said, fuck yeah, let's do this. Let's whoop each other's ass. So we went, and we just started beating the shit out of each other. And I was like, dude, we need to start like a federation. He's like, yeah. And NWF is what I used back in the day when I was littler, and I just kind of kept it. And then it didn't become Adrenaline till I wanted like a name for our show, like, WWE's got Monday Night Raw and SmackDown and all that. So I wanted to come up with something, and I wanted to come up with something. Everybody usually has like war or something in their name. It seems like at some point, or some kind of war. I was like, I want something different. So I just kind of started listening to music, trying to find songs that would like match, and then maybe that would be like inspiration. Well, I came across it's by I think 12 Stones are the people that made the Nexus's theme song, and they have a song called Adrenaline. And I was like, the song doesn't really work, but I do like the name. So me and AJ started NWF Adrenaline kind of together. And the very first show, we had Extreme and Demon on. And the main event was a triple threat for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was AJ Gagliardo versus myself. At the time, I went by Johnny Knuckles versus AJ's little brother, Mike the Spike. And AJ screwed me out of the victory. He didn't screw me out of it. He stole it, which caused Mike to win and become the first ever World Heavyweight Champion. So our first ever World Heavyweight Champion doesn't even work with us anymore. But afterwards, I'd attack AJ, and I'd go back and forth with Mike, drop the title, win the title, like I think twice or something like that. We had a small roster, man.
Yeah, no, I was shaking my head about something else. Sorry.
Oh, okay. It's not like the cruiserweight division, back and forth with the title, but yeah. So me and AJ was really my first rival, and me and AJ just beat the hell out of each other. Mike was the world heavyweight champion at that point in time, and he got hurt, so we were without champion for a while. So we had a tournament. Mike was the world heavyweight champion, I should mention. So, but he was hurt, so he couldn't be there. But we had a tournament to determine the first ever NWF champion. And the finals, of course, came down to Johnny Knuckles and AJ Gags. And it was just fun. It was a good match. It was probably one of our better matches in that like era, if you will. And AJ came out on top and won his first World Heavyweight Championship. And after, AJ wins it, I disappear for a while and let AJ just do his thing. A few weeks later, Mike comes back and he's World Heavyweight Champion. Well, I was the former World Heavyweight Champion. So I challenged him right away for the title and I won it back.
Yeah.
And then I kind of, there's not room for two of us. You can't have two major champions on one such small show. So I challenged AJ and completely to the fourth wall, challenged him to my knowledge, the first ever unscripted match. And what that is we don't book the winner. You just heavy pin each other or torque the fuck out of a submission. I do not recommend it for anybody. However, I ended up heavy pinning AJ and walking out the first ever undisputed champion at our very first ever pay-per-view, Undisputed Pain. Undisputed Pain was pretty cool. We had Nate Johnson debut. God, who did he face? Extreme Luchador, I believe. I actually do still have that pay-per-view. I will someday try to find a way to rip it off of a disc because that's the only format of which I have it, and upload it. Then, let's see. That was a couple weeks after we had another episode of Adrenaline. I came out mocking AJ, and Nate came out and said that he didn't like that. He just debuted. He was white hot. He defeated me non-title, and that would kind of set up some stuff for the next season. The next season, AJ, in the very first episode, very first match of season 3, would win Money in the Bank. I would challenge Nate later on to a rematch. Nate would once again defeat me.
Yeah.
Non-title. And then AJ came out, cashed in Money in the Bank, super kicked me, became undisputed champion. Man, me and AJ would go back and forth. We ended up with a triple threat. Me, Nate, and AJ. Nate still never being pinned. And I think I took the pinfall on that. Yeah, I did. And the next night, I challenged Nate to a one-on-one match. And it's kind of face-ish, like I was, instead of being normal heel.
Right.
But I beat Nate and I retired because I had a knee injury that I thought was going to hold me back. Fast forward to the season finale of season 3, Nate versus AJ for the World Heavyweight Championship. Nate turned heel shortly after I left, which he did all on his own, actually. Like, it wasn't booked or anything. Nate just did it. I was like, Nate, that was awesome. He's like, yeah, we need a bad guy. And I was like, fuck yeah. So that was perfect. Nate captured the World Heavyweight Championship with the help of Demon. And Demon, earlier in the season, had vowed that one way or the other, he was going to make sure AJ was not World Heavyweight Champion going into season 3, and he kept that promise. Now, come season 3, AJ's out for Retribution. I think our premiere for season 3, we usually try to like kick off a season with our acrophobia event, which usually has a Deliver Your Fate ladder match and a Money in the Bank ladder match. At that point in time, there was no Deliver Your Fate yet. AJ won Money in the Bank. Or no. AJ almost won Money in the Bank. And he got screwed over by Demon and the Rage Brothers, who had just formed a team to be Deraged. And Demon and the Rage Brothers they're still out to make AJ's life a living hell. One day it was a 3-on-1 assault, and who comes out? Johnny Knuckles. But I make the save, and then the next week AJ calls me out, and I come out and I talk a little bit. AJ wants to know why I saved him, being that we're arch enemies, Right. Say that, having a career-threatening injury was an eye-opener for me, and it made me realize all the shitty things I did, and I didn't want to be Johnny Knuckles anymore. I wanted to be who I really am. And at that point in time, I didn't know who I really was, but now I had seen the light and knew what I needed to do. So me and AJ formed a team known as the Adrenaline Addicts, and we challenged the Rage Brothers because they were the first step in taking down the Demon. We challenged the Rage Brothers for the tag team titles. We waited a few weeks, and the week before the pay-per-view, we just said, fuck it, we don't want to wait anymore. So we challenged them for the tag team championship, and we won. That's actually that clip is actually in our video that airs at the beginning, where I throw somebody in the pool. So that's from there. Fast forward a little bit to Showdown, which is our grandest stage. Let's see, AJ and I were just dominant. No one could touch us. We had taken down the Rage Brothers. Demon was Mr. Money in the Bank, but he wasn't really doing much. He was more upset with the Rage Brothers for losing the titles to us. So I threw out an open challenge for Showdown for anybody that wanted a piece of us could come and try to take our tag team titles. Well, AJ had something else in mind. He challenged me to a singles match. He said since season 3 had started, he wasn't sure if he had it, what it took anymore. And he said there was only one person that could show him if he still had it in him, and that was me. So AJ challenged me. Now, Showdown was also an unscripted event. And me and AJ went out, and we decided before the event that these unscripted matches, they can go for a long time. We're going to set a 1-hour time limit. Well, me and AJ beat the shit out of each other for an hour and 10 minutes in what is, in my opinion, the worst match in NWF history. Don't do unscripted matches. It leads to drama and too many people trying to sandbag each other. Now, the main event was very good, very good. That was Nate defending the World Heavyweight Championship against former superstar for us, the Superfan. But that is basically I went way off. I told you way more than the origins. I went all the way to season 3. But yeah.
Yeah, and what happened at the end of that match?
What was the outcome?
Sure.
Oh, it ended in a draw. After an hour and 10 minutes, because we went 10 minutes into overtime, past the time limit. And I was just like, we just were both done. And at the end, we like shook hands and our tag team music played and we walked out.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you had mentioned that after that match too, you guys ended up having to relinquish the tag team titles.
That is correct. During mine and AJ's unscripted match, as I told you, don't do unscripted matches.
Right.
AJ cracked his sternum and he was done for a while. So we had to, the next night, I came out with both tag team titles and I had to relinquish them. General Manager Michael Foote decided he wanted to give me an opportunity. Since I was relinquishing the tag team titles, we didn't lose them. He wanted to give me the opportunity to quote unquote turn water into wine. And he gave me a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship, which I won and which started the historic 999.
Yes, which we'll delve into a little bit here in a couple moments. Who would you say were some influences of yours that made it so that you wanted to do the backyard wrestling?
Well, when I first started out, I was just bored and I was just Googling stuff, trying to find something to watch on YouTube, not Googling, YouTube and whatever. And I stumbled upon several very shitty feds and I ended up finding KBW, which I inevitably fell in love with.
Right.
They had so much skill and so much potential at such a young age, just kicking ass. And I didn't know there was anything else out there. And then KBW crossed over with Myron, or the Bad Reeds, BEW.
Right.
And I thought he was awesome. I was like, this kid's got a lot of potential. And then I saw Big Time Mike on Twitter. He was one of the first backyard wrestlers I followed, along with Cage and AK. Mm-hmm. He started hyping some match with some guy named Drew Hood. Who the hell's that? No, Drew Hood is the shit.
Yeah. So
all them KBW guys were big influences for me. Drew Hood has helped me out tremendously. Yankee is the shit. Love that guy. Man, I could go on and on. There's just all of them. All the VTW guys are fantastic.
True. I have to agree with that part. Who would you say were some pro wrestling influences?
Shawn Michaels, Rob Van Dam, Chris Benoit was a big influence on me. I like to do diving headbutts and I love submissions. But Shawn Michaels, all-time favorite wrestler, hands down.
All right. Got to mention a couple of things that were from the chat here.
People are watching me? Whoa.
Yeah, you got a couple people watching.
Holy
the reason I was in my head earlier was because Adam Anderson popped in and said, hey, a podcast that actually has great audio. Off of the Casey James one I had recently.
Oh, yeah.
And King Dominator's in, and another person says, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing? That person being former VTW YouTube champion, The Outlaw, D-Lock.
D-Lock. Nice. Doing good.
Doing pretty well, man. How you doing? All right. We got a couple people watching. Make sure you guys keep comments going, questions, anything, as we get moving along in here. But yeah. So he kind of went through the feud with AJ leading into the injury, obviously. We haven't seen a whole lot between you two since then, I don't believe. Maybe a little bit. But...
Myself and AJ, here and there in like a triple threat.
Right. There was another feud you had mentioned to me that you wanted to talk about here. You ended up, during that title reign, in a little feud with one Josh Bell.
Josh Bell, my long-lost enemy that I've never got to face. Man, Josh Bell he's one of my better friends when it comes to wrestling. On screen, me and him, we have quite the beef, and we have never had a match. Mm-hmm. We've been planning a match for like 3 years, and every time we get to that area, that time, something goes wrong. I definitely want to step foot in the ring with Josh. We had a match one time, and the only thing that happened was a lockup. That was me defending my World Heavyweight Championship on day 999.
Huh.
And when Earn Nitro would come out, ruin the match, and cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, spoiling my 999-day title reign.
Which was a very impressive title reign, and that's something you see really all that often in backyard wrestling, that long of a reign, but
Right.
very impressive. Kind of brings me into the next subject there, mentioning that, Earn Nitro, as we've seen quite a bit between the two of you since that happened.
Yeah, I hate that son of a bitch.
Yeah, we've seen with the season debut this year that you actually are now the general manager of NWF, and one of the first things you did was you stripped him of the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes, I did. Earn Nitro is a fucking piece of shit. He was champion for almost 100 days and defended the title maybe once. What a shitty champion. We had to cancel several events because he was too busy going to the mall and buying shoes or getting his ears pierced to show up to our tapings, which we had planned weeks in advance just to make sure he can come. I was fed up with it. Obviously, he ruined my title reign, and I wanted a champion that would be here consistently and that wouldn't make bullshit excuses. So I stripped Earn of the title and put the two most dedicated superstars in the back in a championship match because I knew none of them would have excuses and they would represent the brand well.
Yeah, which would lead into, we'll get more on the Earn here in a moment, but which would lead into the main event of the debut, the premiere episode, I guess you would say, of this year with
Season
AJ
premiere.
Gagliardo going against Extreme Luchador for the world title.
Yes, that was a really good match. A lot of people would, going into it, if you saw the history of NWF, you wouldn't think Extreme belongs in a main event because Extreme has always kind of been an enhancement talent. But you know what? Extreme doesn't give a shit who he puts over. He doesn't care. He just likes to wrestle. And, you know, Extreme had a match against Earn Nitro for the World Heavyweight Championship, and he showed up. Extreme showed up for that. And the weeks leading into it, Extreme Luchador won a fucking fatal four-way match to determine the number one contender. So I kind of opened the door for Extreme, and in that match, he just kicked it wide the fuck open.
Right. And then, of course, that AJ became the world champion, which we see now is still the fact.
Yes.
After that, we would see Earn Nitro actually return on a later episode and would attack you from behind.
Yeah, figures that's what you got to take is taking the title away from somebody in order to get them to show up.
Okay.
But you know what? He showed up.
He showed up and
we'll
he
see what
busted
happens.
open.
Yes, he did. I haven't since I lost the World Heavyweight Championship. I hadn't stepped in a ring and I hadn't trained. I hadn't even thought about like preparing for a match. And I was getting in my vehicle and he attacked me.
Yep. Which I'm sure you'll have some retaliation for him at some point.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see him again.
So we'll dive into what I know you guys are going to be airing here eventually. But what is the present situation of NWF Adrenaline and what's the future look like for it?
All right, so the present situation is we are on a bit of a hiatus as we prep when worlds collide. There's a lot going into that, and that is our primary focus. After when worlds collide, the road to Showdown 2 is actually going to begin with our second annual-ish, because it hasn't happened in a while, but our second Turmoil event. And the Turmoil event is basically a tag team Turmoil without tag teams.
Yeah.
It's a gauntlet, and the winner will meet the World Heavyweight Champion at When Worlds Collide, or damn it, at Showdown 2.
It's all good. Well, that's good to know that there's a future for it. One person that was in the chat earlier, whether he is still or not, Adam Anderson actually had mentioned on Twitter recently that he's planning on having his final year in backyard wrestling in 2018, and had mentioned at one point of coming to Michigan, to Coloma, and getting a chance to compete at your company, NWF Adrenaline. What are your opinions on that?
Well, a lot of the hype that I've been doing for When Worlds Collide, a lot of the talent that we're bringing in has been all me.
Right.
The NWF higher-ups are the ones that are in talks with Adam Anderson. And if Adam Anderson does decide to come to Michigan, I will personally slap whatever mask he brings to the ring off his face and break his pencil legs.
Fair enough. It'd be interesting to see if he shows up. I know at one point he was rumored to appear at When Worlds Collide, and that didn't happen. So
no, but it's okay.
Yep. But as we know, When Worlds Collide is the biggest event that you got right now that's going to be going up eventually. Where do we want to go? What are you looking forward to the most for When Worlds Collide, would you say?
Well, back a few months ago, I announced that I wanted to start competing again. I wanted a match. Back then, I did not have even 100 followers. And the NWF higher-ups said that if I could get 100 followers on Twitter, then I would be able to compete. I ended up hitting that milestone. And so I'm looking forward to competing. The match that we're having at When Worlds Collide is myself and my tag team partner, my best friend, the World Heavyweight Champion, AJ Gagliardo, against BCW champion Jason Page and a partner that is not confirmed yet.
Yeah, and we've seen on Twitter over the last couple months, you and one Jason Page have had quite the beef.
Yeah, he just really likes to talk shit. I think he's bitter because I invited some other names and didn't include him in the invite. One Mark Williams from his company I invited. However, Mark has announced his retirement from backyard wrestling, so he will not be coming to When Worlds Collide. I can tell you that much.
That's true. You want to go over the card that we do know of so far for When Worlds Collide?
So far, what we know of, if I'm correct, is the Demon, Isaac Warren,
Yep.
has challenged BCW's Unknown to a cross-branded match. Tommy Zachary, who is our number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, is putting his number one contendership on the line against Josh Bell in, I believe, a no-holds-barred match. The HCW World Heavyweight Champion, Mikey Nitro, and his company owner have announced that he will be defending the World Heavyweight Championship. And we have the Best in the Peninsula Battle Royal.
Very nice.
And Extreme Luchador is still trying to find an opponent somehow.
Yeah, speaking of Extreme Luchador, he has been quite interesting on Twitter lately. He's trying to find somebody to, I guess in a way you could say, make him famous.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I told you, like, I kind of opened the door for him a little bit, and he kicked it open. Well, now he's on the hunt for relevancy. He did challenge Drew Hood to a match, and Drew obviously has retired from backyard wrestling. So
yes.
I love you, Drew. I wish you were here still. So Extreme is, he needs an opponent for When Worlds Collide, and he is looking for somebody that can make him famous or relevant.
We'll see if that happens for him when World Collide goes up.
Hopefully. I'm tired of hearing it.
All right. I'm sure you are. D-Lock mentions in the comment section, I guess I'm going to have to get a plane ticket.
That'd be cool. It'd be cool to have D-Lock out here sometime.
And I know when you were co-hosting here for an episode with Dustin Reagan, he mentioned something about coming up. So, I mean,
man, I'd love to have anybody that wants to come out here come out here.
All right.
When Worlds Collide 2, we got some other cross-branded stuff we want to do, and Even if anybody wants to come out for just a standard NWF pay-per-view or whatever they want to do. If anybody wants to come out, I will find something for you to do.
I would imagine so. Anything to get more eyes and views on the channel. Speaking of which, you gotta go ahead and plug the NWF Adrenaline channel on YouTube real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Subscribe, because When Worlds Collide is going to be fucking dope. And after When Worlds Collide, we have our Turmoil event. It's Turmoil is going to be a good event. AJ Gagliardo is going to be defending the World Heavyweight Championship. We got our Turmoil match. It's going to be a fun event. And I have already challenged Earn Nitro to come to Turmoil and face me man to man. So,
which will be kind of interesting. Might let the cat out of the bag here, but you might also see an appearance from myself at.
Yes, Tony, you are indeed going to be in attendance. You are the social media ambassador for When Worlds Collide.
Yeah, I am. And that won't be the last you see of me when it comes to NWF Adrenaline either. So
hopefully not. We want to keep you around. You're a good person to have around, Tony.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
You are the Dave Meltzer of backyard wrestling.
Appreciate that as well. So where do you think this whole feud with Jason Page is going to lead to, if you could guess?
Probably me and AJ slapping him and whoever he brings around a 16x16 and walking out with our hands held high. Between myself and AJ, we have 8 combined World Heavyweight Championship reigns. Jason Page is the current BCW champion. I do not know how many times he has been champion.
Not positive either, honestly.
And I have no idea who he's going to bring with him, but there's not very many people in BCW that, to my knowledge, have been world champion yet. So you got 2 main eventers and then a main eventer and somebody else.
So what will it be like for you to team up with AJ again? It's been quite a while since you two have teamed together.
Yeah, about 4 years. It's going to be really sweet to step in the ring side by side with AJ one more time in the Adrenaline Addicts reunion tour.
Okay, so I'm going to be doing a little fantasy booking here since D-Lock mentioned that. Adrenaline Addicts and Killer Instinct.
Ooh, that would be awesome. That would be sweet.
All right. So D-Lock's got a little question for you before he has to go.
Ready?
What other 4 wrestlers from BYW would you bring to fight with you in a Survivor Series tag team match?
Ooh, in a Survivor Series tag team match. If it's cross-branded, I would, and if I'm going to pick other people from other companies, not my own, I would like to team with the likes of Dustin Reagan, Jason Walker, and I'll say AK-47.
And who's the 4th person? You had 4 other guys.
Oh, okay. So it's a 5-on-5.
Yep.
Oh, I'll say Drew Hood.
Interesting. Nice combination of guys. I think that it would be hard to beat that team. So interesting choices. Anyway, so get into more stuff here in a moment, but I want to get into a couple questions that I had on Twitter. First one was from a guy that you mentioned is going to be at When Worlds Collide defending his championship. As far as we know, that's the only title match that'll take place. Mikey Nitro. Was wondering, Mikey Nitro versus H-Two, will it ever happen?
Oh, definitely. We live in the same state. I'm actually getting ready in a date that's still yet to be determined. Mikey Nitro's company is actually going to have their first big event, and they're technically indie, so that will technically be my indies debut for Mikey's company. And if I'm going to go and work with Mikey's company, I'd definitely like to step in the ring with Mikey Nitro at some point.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting matchup to see the 2 of you step in the ring.
Technical versus kind of strong style.
Speaking of which, you guys were pretty much a trampoline fed, but from knowing from being at When Worlds Collide, you guys had a ring for the first time, and from what you've been posting on Twitter, it sounds like the ring is what you guys will be using going forward as well.
Yep. Josh Bell has actually a wrestling school in his backyard. I don't know if you've ever watched Wrestling Society X that used to be on MTV back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember Josh Abercrombie?
The name sounds familiar.
He used to do is like a 450 with an extra splash.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
He is actually from Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is about 45 minutes away from where I live. And he coaches their high school wrestling, and he trains people. And there's people from Schoolcraft and where Josh Bell's from, Waterville Elite, right in the middle, pretty much between Schoolcraft and Kalamazoo. So Josh Bell and Josh Abercrombie are pretty good friends. So he asked if he could just throw a ring in his backyard and let him use it. And so we'll probably be using that ring a little bit. I'm actually in talks with somebody about purchasing a ring, so to have our own.
Yeah, it seems a lot of the backyard wrestling companies are going towards the ring more so than using a trampoline. So
yeah, at When Worlds Collide, I want it to feel indie, but at the same time still backyard.
Right.
That'll definitely be our grandest stage and probably the most production value I will have put into a thing. And that's with me being GM. They told me they wanted me to make a change, and I'm trying to make a big one.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say this When Worlds Collide, once it goes up, I'm sure we'll succeed in that task.
Also, speaking of When Worlds Collide, I want to plug rentawrestlingring.com, which is where we got our wrestling ring from for When Worlds Collide. That's the ring we're going to use, and that's the ring we'll probably be using until I do make the final purchase for the ring that I'm looking at.
Fair enough. Who does all the art for your guys' channel?
I do, personally, yeah. I make everything. I do the match cards. I do the nameplates. Some of the nameplates I will like take like a template off of like YouTube or something like that. But yeah, I make all the logos and everything myself, and I do all the editing, and I do the bulk of the work.
Right. Just wanted to let you get a little plug in there for that part. I know I seen something on Facebook recently about it. So
yeah.
So the next few questions actually come from one guy who I talk to quite often on Twitter, the King of the Mountain, Nevon McDonald.
Oh.
So his first question for you is, will you ever cross over to another Fed?
Yeah, I definitely would love to. I want to make lots of appearances all over the place. So far, you've pretty much exclusively seen me on the NWF Adrenaline channel, and now Tiger Talks Wrestling. Yeah, I really want to do a best in the yard before it's all said and done for me.
Yeah, that would definitely be where you'd want to go. Somebody else from your company, Mickey Matthews, is quite a busy guy as of late, though.
Mickey Matthews is a very busy fella. However, he is very electronically stupid. So a lot of the projects Mickey Matthews works on, he comes to my house to work on because I'm the one with the equipment. He's a very good commentator, in my opinion, and he is working with Proving Ground as the sort of like host. He's the voice behind the picture, I guess.
Yep. That's the way I'd put it. And we've seen just recently he's the voice of BEW's new show, From the Vault, as well.
Yep, he's kept that a secret from me. I did not know he was doing that. And all of a sudden I just saw it pop up and I was like, what the hell is this?
Maybe you'll have to have a little talk with him.
Yeah.
All right. Back to Nevon's questions. He wanted your thoughts on the King of the Yard tournament.
I love the King of the Yard tournament. I was actually wondering if this was going to come up because the King of the Yard tournament, it was action-packed. It was fun to watch. There's a lot of like every single opening bout was a first time ever match except for Ecstatic and Jordan Oliver. And I think that they
Paradise wasn't the first time ever either. But yeah,
oh no, it wasn't.
other than that,
Yeah.
no.
But they definitely picked the right person to win it. Definitely the hardest working person in all of backyard wrestling. A brother man with a master plan. Brother Cam. 16.
Gotta put up 4 fingers.
That's right.
And 16. He also wanted to know, what were your 3 favorite matches from the tournament?
Ooh, man. I liked Navan and AK all 3 times.
Right?
They did a very good job at making AK look strong as hell going into
yes.
it. Cam and Yankee was a fun one. And obviously Cam and AK.
Mm-hmm.
That was a match I wasn't sure we would ever see, you know?
Right? Just like Cam and Cage at
Yeah.
in the Yard, which we'll get into that here in just a little bit. I want to get through to Navan's questions here first, though.
Okay.
How is it working with BEW and Proving Grounds?
I love working with these guys. These guys are awesome. They put out some cool stuff, and I get to see everything before any of you. It's pretty cool. I definitely want to travel to Newburgh, and I am technically part of Proving Ground. If you remember from before they even aired the first episode, I had a very busy 2017. I got married, and that took a bulk of my time and money. But I started a new job. I don't have any time off yet. Once I do start accumulating time off, I would definitely like to travel out to Newburgh and do something with the Proving Ground and or BEW guys.
Speaking of Proving Ground, I'll delve into that a little bit before we get into the last couple questions that Navan had. What are your thoughts of the roster right now on Proving Ground? I mean, we've seen recently the debut of 3 guys from UWE in Ustalo, the Underground Champion, and Revin and Jason Atlas.
Yeah, man, they're doing an awesome job at recruiting. Proving Ground, they got to have one of the most stacked rosters in all of backyard wrestling right now, I would say. They got people coming. I mean, Dustin Reagan made an appearance in episode 2. The KWA guys I wasn't very familiar with, but since Proving Ground has started, I've familiarized myself with some of them, and they're awesome. Obviously, I'm not trying to take anything away from the UWE guys or anybody else that's there, because everybody that's there is fantastic.
Right. And we also just seen recently that the guys from lost my train of thought there for a second. But Evan Blake and those guys from NLBW have shown up in Proving Ground.
Yeah. I'm not terribly familiar with NLBW, which I will probably get crucified for, but I am aware of who Evan Blake is. And I am very excited to see these guys come over with such a stacked fucking roster. I think it's almost time for Proving Ground to add another hour to their programming and maybe a mid-card championship.
Yeah, that would probably be about the right thing to do. I know they've got their second major event coming up here eventually too. So.
Yep, stand your ground.
Yes, stand your ground indeed. I also heard that somebody had said something to Yankee, who is the general manager there, about having that as a name as a championship, but he changed it to a name of a pay-per-view instead.
I had not heard that.
Yeah, I did. All right. So, Navan had another question for you because you actually edited a video of Novin's here recently.
Yeah.
Body bag match that he had against one Gas Chamber, who, as we know, goes by Samael now. He wanted to know what your thoughts were on editing that match and the match overall.
Oh man, it was the first time I'd ever edited 2 angles, which was a challenge. But as I watched it, I was like, God damn, this is a phenomenal match. Like, I love the Novin character. Novin is phenomenal. It's brutal, and the gas chamber is, I was unfamiliar with the character, but was also amazing in the match. And there would be times where I would see an angle and I was like, wow, that was a really good angle. And then I'd flip over to the other video and watch the next like 15 seconds and see, I was just like, God damn, that angle was way better. I got to use that. That's kind of what got me into the BEW editing team. It was kind of like a tryout, I guess. And I guess I passed. It was a very good match, though. Very good. Loved it. Very unique.
All right. Adam Anderson wants to know, what are some other companies that you'd want to work for in the future?
Oh, I'd love to work for just about anywhere. I want to go. I would like to go to DBW sometime and work with them. Obviously, VTW and BEW and Proving Ground. I would go just about anywhere.
Yeah, guys, just keep the questions and comments going as we move along here. The last question that Navon McDonald had for you was, what is your favorite backyard wrestling theme song?
Ooh. Right now, it's Zach Daniels' current theme song. I was
Interesting choice.
driving on my order picker at work the other day, and I caught myself. I was just like, "Are you fucking whistling like Mozart?" I was just like, "Don't fucking speak to me."
Right? Yeah, I mean, you would think with Zach Daniels changing from that amazing song that he had previously, that people would be more ticked off that he changed it. But
I don't mind it.
man, Zach,
It's going well
right?
with who he is on screen. It's going very well with it. So,
Yes, I would agree with that.
but
I could sit here and
I also like Kevin Shaw's theme song quite a bit.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, who can't get along with that song?
right, and my own obviously I love.
Okay, I'll ask that question here in a little bit that Adam had, the next one, but it kind of ties into other things I've got later here. Let me check something here real quick. That's not important. Okay. Let's go into Best in the Yard 3 from this year here a little bit.
Alrighty,
What was your overall thoughts of the show?
I loved it. Best in the Yard 3 was like the bar, man. Like, uh, man, so many good matches. I actually, when it aired, the night it was getting ready to air, my wife was like, "Let's go grocery shopping," and I'm just like,
Right?
It's just like I want to watch Biddy. Well, I sat in the cart and had her push me around, and I watched it on my fucking phone and went through all my LTE, and I missed a little chunk of it. I missed. I obviously saw who the Bad Sons were facing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I caught the end of Dustin Reagan and Dirty Dachinko.
And Dirty. That was a hard fought match, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. I
Dirty,
tuned in and I was just like, what the fuck are these guys doing to the ring?
yeah. Dustin took one hell of a beating from Dirty.
Oh yes.
I don't think anybody's ever beaten Dustin up as much as Dirty did in that match. So. But that's what you get when you get a technical wrestler versus a brawler, I suppose.
Yeah.
What would you say, if you could pick one, was your favorite match or couple of matches from Best in the Yard?
Oh, my favorite match would have to be Cam versus Cage. Oh, one hell of a story they told. It was just an absolute fucking clinic.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool to see Cage come back after going pro and going into the indies and tearing apart the scene, and come back and go against the guy that is the busiest man in backyard wrestling.
No, that's true.
So it's kind of like creator versus carrier, if you will.
Yeah, I can see that point. I was very impressed with that match. Not the happiest, I'm sure, as many people were with the outcome of it. But
Yeah, I wasn't terribly happy with the outcome myself, but I hope to see more from Cage and Cam.
that would definitely be a very good match if we've seen it again, I'm sure. Um, what would you say is the underrated match from Best in the Yard?
Victor Van Pelt
One that,
versus Kevin Shaw.
okay,
I
and why?
I love Kevin Shaw and Victor Van Pelt. He's been grinding to get to a show like that, and he got his moment with Kevin Shaw, and it was just cool to see Victor Van Pelt on that scene. And I mean, I'm a Kevin Shaw fan, so I like Kevin Shaw quite a bit. Um, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a fun match too.
So, if you want to talk about that match a little, what was your thoughts on Kevin's mom and then Buford being revealed as his dad?
Oh, well, Kevin Shaw's mom was she was very gorgeous. Thought she's a very beautiful woman. And Buford Jones, I did not see that coming. So is he Buford Shaw? Is Kevin Jones? Is Are they related to Aaron?
Maybe.
We got some unanswered
So many
questions.
questions. Yes, that's true. Um, if you could choose one, who would you say was the MVP of Best in the Yard?
Oh man, I'm still gonna go with Brother Cam.
Gotcha.
He put it all out there, man.
So I just want to touch on a couple other things from Best in the Yard here, real quick. Couple of matches. First one, you mentioned these two guys are two of your favorites in backyard wrestling, pretty much. Novin and Drew Hood.
Yeah. Oh, they told a story, and Drew, I guess he wasn't the fondest of the match, and I believe I've heard Novin's other people say like that they didn't think that they did the best, but I thought they did great. Like El Kabong after El Kabong, uh,
Yes, a couple.
Tombstone on the guitar.
Last rights. There.
Yes. I'm sorry. I did not come correct. Don't check me.
I won't, but you might have to worry about Novin if he's seen this, or
Don't
Nevada
say
for that
his
matter.
name.
Yeah.
They
But
did
anyway,
very good. They had a great match also. And actually, this Best in the Yard is the first Best in the Yard I've sat down and watched all in one sitting.
which was, I'm sure, a very tough thing to do with the 5.5 hours, 5 hours,
Well,
5.5 hours that
I
it
guess
was.
it wasn't
But
one sitting, but I did watch it live consistently. I went from room to room a few times. I had to put some laundry away. I had to watch it on my phone in a shopping cart at the store. But I watched it all just right then and there.
right, um, which kudos to you for that. I know I would have if I would have been able to, but unfortunately that day I had to work. But still,
Having a job is a
um,
drag.
yes, it can be. But still. So I got to touch on another match. I'd be remiss if I didn't. Big Time Mike and Rick Rios.
Man, emotion, man. So much emotion
Right.
in that match. And they had a phenomenal match previously at WrestleCon,
Uh-huh.
and it ended in a draw, I believe. So there
Yes,
was
it is.
not a decisive winner. And man, they told the story too, man. And man, it made me emotional because, like I said, uh, Big Time Mike is kind of where I found other feds, and I was just like, damn,
Right.
he's done.
Yes, unfortunately. Uh, and if anybody that's in the chat or watching later hasn't, make sure you go back and watch the podcast that I have with Big Time Mike. It was an amazing show. Mike is just a great guy all around, so he definitely deserves for you guys to watch if you haven't yet. He's got so much information for any newer guys in backyard wrestling or even older guys that have been around for a while. So he's worth it, that's for sure. And I know after Best in the Yard, you actually posted quite a lengthy tweet about or to Big Time Mike as well.
Yeah, man. Big Time Mike, like I said, I mean, he's the reason I found other backyard wrestling feds. He's like one of the first I followed on Twitter, and he's
Was first for me.
yeah. I think after I saw him tweeting to Drew and I found other backyard wrestlers, I was like, shit, I need to create a backyard wrestling Twitter. So I have two Twitters. I have my personal and I have my BYW one, and I haven't even logged into my personal one in years.
I'd tell you something.
Yeah.
All right. So the last match I got to touch on from Best in the Yard was the main event. What did you think of Zach Daniels and Yankees match?
Oh man, I love Yankees. Like I said, he's one of my best friends in BYW. And then Zach Daniels, he's a person I've never actually spoke to, but I am a big Zach Daniels fan. I love Zach Daniels. Almost every match he touches is just like top, man. Like, it's hard to follow. And yeah, gold. Yeah. Zach Daniels is a hell of a talent. Yankee is a fucking workhorse, man. Seeing the two of them. I know some people were bitching that Cam and Cage didn't have the main event, but Zach Daniels, Mr. Best in the Yard, and Yankee, he has a lot to do in backyard wrestling. Yankee does a lot more than people realize in backyard wrestling. These two guys are two of the hardest workers in BYW. They definitely deserve the main event at Best in the Yard.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was going to ask you that question too. So,
which one?
The one if you thought that match should have been the main event.
Oh, they did awesome. And then the fucking on the pre-show when he powerbombed Zach Daniels' wife on that table and it didn't break and like you saw whip back, I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah, that was might not have been planned, but it was an awesome moment that you won't forget. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't forget to mention the whole Yankees slapped their ass too before powerbombing.
Yep.
So, right in front of Zach's face too.
Yep.
What balls?
Yeah.
You mentioned you'd like to appear at a Best of the Yard before it's all said and done for you. Who would you say would be the one person if you could choose somebody to face if you had the opportunity to go to Best in the Yard?
Ooh, that's tough because I don't think I'm as good as everybody else thinks I am, apparently. But man, a lot of these guys that go, there's some of them I'm just like, I don't know if I can hang with this guy. But I wouldn't mind going one-on-one with Zach Daniels or Cam or, man, any of the guys that go. I'd love to work with any of them. TJ Sakara would be fun because TJ Sakara is 100 feet tall and I'm 5'5".
All right. I should mention this match, I guess, since he was in the chat section. Not that I have to, but I will. What did you think of that triple threat match that D-Lock was in with Jackson Hendricks and Chase Bridges?
Oh, man, it was awesome. Definitely show stealer. I kind of thought that match was going to be just a show stealer, and it was. It was Chase. I mean, he had appeared at a Best in the Yard, but at that time, in my eyes at least, that was definitely the biggest match of his career. And Jackson Hendricks was very unfamiliar with Jackson Hendricks, but he fucking showed up.
Oh, yes, he did.
He came.
He came prepared. It was his first time in a wrestling ring, but who would know that just watching the kid?
Yeah, I was just like, damn. And it was cool because a lot of the companies that were there at Best in the Yard had made that transition to in-ring. And it was cool to see somebody that hadn't made that transition yet step in a ring for the first time with two vets that have been in a ring quite frequently.
Right.
And he fucking showed up, man. Like, I was just like, this dude's in a trampoline fed still?
Yeah. Yes, he is. What did you think of them having it in a building?
I thought that was really sweet. It was like a venue almost. So that was pretty rad. Maybe NWF will have to find a building sometime.
Maybe. Now I think I heard some people complain that it's supposed to be backyard wrestling, but it was in a building. But
It's best in the church.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see you get a chance possibly at Best in the Yard next year and see who you get a chance to face there if you do make it.
Hopefully, I would definitely like to go to a biddy before, like I said, before it's all said and done.
So if you could name me 3 people, who would be your ultimate dream matches in backyard wrestling?
I'd have to say Zach Daniels is one of them. I'd love to work with Cameron Jackson. And, man, third. Man, I could go on dream matches.
I'm sure you could.
Oh,
Go for it.
I'll say Drew. Even though Drew is retired now, I would love to step in the ring with Drew Hood sometime. Yankee. Man. Kevin Shaw. AK. I was a big fan of Jason Walker. So I would like to face Jason Walker sometime. That would be cool. Man, but a lot of these guys are like getting ready to retire and stuff. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I know Jason Walker, for one, APW has posted recently that Jason Walker will be retiring at Best in the Yard 4, will be his last show.
Yeah, pretty sad to hear that. Hopefully we see a little more from Jason leading into that, though.
Right? I mean, because all we've really seen was his last Best in the Yard appearance and nothing since, other than a little bit on his channel.
He got eliminated and his streak ended because of Arnold.
He would argue with that, but I agree with you on that one.
Poor Arnold. He didn't want that.
But he's got that distinction.
Yes.
Although Aaron Jones and TJ Sakara would definitely disagree with it. But they have their own case about it, but still. For the couple of viewers that we've got still, if you got any other questions, make sure you put them in there. I'm wrapping up on my questions here shortly. Got a few more, but if they got any more, put them in the comment section there, or questions, comments, whatever. So I'm going to move into one of my favorite parts of the show. Not always the guest's favorite part, but Elimination Chamber. You're inside there. Pick 5 guys from Backyard Wrestling you're in there with.
All right. Definitely Cameron Jackson. So it's me, Brother Cam, Zach Daniels, Novin, and I'll say Jason Walker. You're froze on my end, Tony. Are you still here? Well, hold on. You're froze on my end. Whoa, it looks like Tony's gone. Well, hold on. Tony, are you still here? Froze on my end. Well, it looks like I have taken over Tony's talk show. Are you here, Tony? I cannot hear you. Let's see if I can figure anything out. Are you here, Tony? I cannot hear you. This is awkward. I cannot hear anything that Tony is saying. Figure anything. Are you here, Tony? I can see you in the Hangout, but I cannot see you or hear you on YouTube. But I cannot hear you either on the Hangout.
Fun technical difficulties.
All right, I found you.
You got me?
I do, yes.
You got me. Okay. Sorry about that. Little technical difficulties there.
That happens, especially when you're live.
Yes, indeed. I caught the first two names that you mentioned for the Elimination Chamber?
All right. Who are they?
Cameron Jackson and Zach Daniels.
All right. Cam, Zach Daniels, myself. I'll take Yankee, Jason Walker, and then is that it, or do I got one more?
One more.
Ooh, I'll say AK.
Nice. Who's the last person you're eliminating to win that match?
Oh, I'll eliminate the longest reigning YouTube champion, Zach Daniels.
All right. So off of that, you get a chance to main event Best in the Yard. Who are you facing and for what title?
Ooh, man, I'd like to face Cameron Jackson one-on-one, and I would like to get a YouTube title reign.
Very nice. Give me one moment here.
Alrighty.
Assuming we're all still live because it says live there. And lost the page on my other tablet here. So I'm going to go in and check to see if there's any other comments or questions.
I believe we're still here.
Yep. I'm just double checking here.
Adam Anderson says, I killed you. And to stop the damn match.
What match? What match? Wait. No.
By God.
By
God.
And pause it before, or mute it at least, before I get an echo here. Yeah, if you guys got anything else. Yeah, I see what Adam was saying now. Okay. All right. Do you think there'll be more that we'll see of you and AJ as the Adrenaline Addicts, or do you think this will be a one and done pretty much?
Well, AJ is World Heavyweight Champion right now, and I am GM. And this is going to be my first time competing in probably close to 2 years. So, and I'm very busy as general manager right now. So, as of this moment in time, this Adrenaline Addicts reunion tour is going to end up being just a one and done, I think.
All right. It'll still be nice to see you guys get the opportunity to face against each other.
Right. When we were a team, it ended very abruptly, and it kind of sucked. Right. But it'll be cool to write another chapter in the book.
All right. So, not gonna show me the comment section there, apparently. Anyway, if you guys got any other questions, make sure you put them in there. I've got one more personally, and maybe more after that. We'll see where we lead off from there. What does the future look like for you in backyard wrestling?
Obviously, I mean, I don't want to be done. I'm GM, but I'd like to get some more matches under the belt when it comes to BYW. I mean, I love backyard wrestling. I love wrestling in general. We're transitioning to a ring, and I told you there's a little training school just down the road from me. I'd like to start training, and I'm gonna we still don't have a date picked out for the event that is Mikey Nitro's company, Civil War, but that would be technically my first indie match, and so I'd like to go. There's a lot of other places I want to go before H-Two is all said and done, but for the future right now, you're going to see me as general manager, but at When Worlds Collide, you're going to get to see me punch Jason Page right in his mouth.
And whoever his opponent is, but mainly Jason Page is the person to worry about right now.
Yeah.
What are your pro aspirations?
I would like to start training, like I said, and I mean, let's be honest, I'm 5'5" and weigh about 190, 195 pounds. I'll never go to WWE. I don't have any aspirations to really go to WWE, but I would definitely like to just be a pro. And there's indie wrestling, from my understanding, is pretty big in the South, like where VTW is. Here in Michigan, wrestling isn't very cool, but I fucking love wrestling, and wrestling the indie scene is starting to explode in northern Indiana, which is just about an hour away from where I am, South Bend, Indiana. They have like 3 or 4 different companies down there. Strong Style, which I don't know if is actually active anymore. From my understanding, the owner moved. But there's RCW. There's Pro Wrestling Kingdom. Pro Wrestling Kingdom actually has their former world heavyweight champion, Famous Ames, is actually from my hometown. He has appeared at one of our events before, not to wrestle, but just to come out, and it was pretty cool. Very humbling to see him come and talk to us about how he started in the same place that we did, pretty much, you know?
Right.
And so there's companies out there. There's a Black Label Pro. They're pretty big right now. Or, well, they're not big yet, but he's pulling in some serious talent. So.
So a lot of times you'll see when guys go pro, they won't mention their backyard history. There is one guy that has recently on Twitter, though, Will Ospreay. What is your opinions on that if you've seen it?
I think he was the one that I actually retweeted it and talked about it. I thought that was really sweet. Yeah, backyard wrestling is kind of the redheaded stepchild to indie wrestling. It's frowned upon, but I think backyard wrestling is fucking awesome, and I think it's sweet that people at like his level will talk about BYW.
Yeah, definitely. He's a big name when it comes to New Japan, and also he's making a name for himself little by little in Ring of Honor now as well. So
yeah, I believe he's done a lot for What Culture also. What Culture Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, it's true. I had something in mind. Now I just drew blank there for a second.
Oh man.
I don't know what it was. No, that's okay. What else would you like to touch on from the future or present for NWF Adrenaline and for you guys?
Well, as you know, Michigan is very unpredictable, and we're getting to that time where it's going to be harder to do some wrestling stuff. So when worlds collide, you're definitely going to see from us before we hang it up for the season. And we're definitely going to get the Turmoil event before we take hiatus for until, you know, spring so we can start up again. But we're going to get Turmoil. And then when the next, like, I'm not even going to say season anymore, but when spring rolls around is when we'll get a few episodes of Adrenaline, and then Showdown. Showdown is going to be our first special event this year. And the Showdown, it has a special place in its heart, or in my heart. Me and AJ put on a terrible, terrible match at Showdown, but there was 2 other fantastic matches at Showdown, and Showdown is supposed to be like our grandest like stage, and I want it to feel like our grandest stage again this year. That's part of the reason why I've decided that we're bringing it back.
Fair enough. All right. Got anything else to say to anybody who might be a detractor of yours, so as to speak?
Oh, I mean, I'm just me. I love wrestling, and I mean, if you want to see good ass kicking wrestling, definitely tune in for When Worlds Collide. Turmoil is going to be a phenomenal event. Maybe you'll see me start competing a little bit more in 2018, hopefully. But for now, I'm GM, so we'll see what happens. But there's only one way to find out, and that's for you to go subscribe on YouTube and follow me on Twitter.
What's the Twitter handle?
I am at H-Two Wrestling.
All right. Forgot to let you put that out there. It'll also be in the description below. So
Right on.
for anybody that's looking for it. I know I'm looking forward to seeing When Worlds Collide and seeing where things go between you and Jason Page in the future.
Yeah, there's no future with that chump.
But with just a beef that you two have had over Twitter. There's something there.
I'm going to punch that dude so hard in the mouth that he is not going to want to say my name ever again.
So I'll bring the cat out of the bag here. I am planning on a newer show here still, and I have talked to you about it. I'll talk to him about it. A rival show of some sort. I don't know the exact name of it yet, but come close to time to when worlds collide. I'm thinking you and him would be the best, probably first two guests on the show. So
Fair enough.
we'll see what we can do there. And hey, I still would love to have something big for when worlds collide in here as well. So
right on.
Definitely expect to see more NWF Adrenaline guys here. I have one guy lined up once more shows are airing.
Yep.
It doesn't show there's anybody there, but if anybody's watching at the moment, if you got any last questions, make sure you put them in there really quick here because we're wrapping up here. Any last words or last things you want to say?
I mean, you're just going to have to tune in for When Worlds Collide. I'm very excited for When Worlds Collide. I'm very excited to keep the ball rolling. We've been on a bit of a hiatus, but it's going to be really fun when Worlds Collide. It's going to be a fun event. Make sure you watch. 2018, we're going to definitely start getting more and more stuff out. I have decided that we are going to pick up with just an original numbering for episodes of Adrenaline. We're not going to say season whatever. We're going to start off with because you know how Vindy, they just number theirs. I'm going to start around 40 since we had about 12 episodes-ish at a minimum, at least for season 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start around 40-ish. But
sounds all right. All right. And definitely make sure you watch, if you want more from NWF Adrenaline guys, Mickey Matthews, make sure you watch BEW's Proving Grounds and From the Vault. You'll hear him on both of those shows.
Yep.
And otherwise, it doesn't look like there's anything in the chat room. Not sure when my next guest will be on or who that will be at the moment. We will find out. I am in talks with quite a big name of getting him on here soon. So just have to wait and see who that is. Hopefully sooner rather than later he'll be on here. And otherwise, make sure if you guys got the opportunity to here in a couple hours, 6:30 p.m. tonight, I will be back on here with a Survivor Series prediction show.
2 shows in one day?
Hell yeah. First time ever, but...
Snap. I appreciate you having me on such a weird day and weird time, man.
Oh, no problem. We've been trying to get this going for a couple months here. And
I was going to say, I was supposed to be the inaugural guest.
You were. Unfortunately, I had a crappy computer back then, so...
Yeah, it happens.
Yes, it does. I got to thank you for being the person that talked me into getting this show started for the first place. So
yeah, I am the creator of Tiger Talks Wrestling.
You had a lot to do with the name of it too.
Yeah, I did come up with the name also.
Yes, to which Twitter voted for this one over when I was...
What was the one you were leaning towards? I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it now either. It's been too long. That's okay. This one's perfectly fine.
But one last thing I want to plug before we cut out. Next week, you guys will see on the NWF channel the match that we submitted for our VTW Mania contest. So make sure you tune into that.
I know recently on there, we've been seeing some videos from the Demon as well.
So. Yes, the Demon Isaac Warren. He has been missing. We cannot actually find him. He went missing after his match at Last Stand with Nate Johnson. He defeated Nate and has been missing ever since.
Yes, they've been quite interesting videos. So if you get a chance to, if you haven't, make sure you go back and watch those as well.
He's a weird guy.
Yeah, to say the least. But yeah, from there, as I said, don't know when the next guest will be, but make sure you watch the Survivor Series prediction show tonight. If you haven't, make sure you go back and watch the NXT TakeOver War Games prediction show I posted last night. We did get cut off, technical difficulties again
I did see
at the
that.
end there. But it was a fun time with Aaron Jones, Mr. Judgment, and the Blaze last night. Tonight for the Survivor Series prediction show, I do know the Blaze wants back in. King Dominator will be my guest as well, and possibly one or two other guys. We'll see. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all the comments in the comment section. Appreciate knowing that Adam Anderson, King Dominator, and D-Lock were in here.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm not a draw really in my eyes, but it was cool to see other people watching and other people commenting.
And we had 5 to 6 viewers at points, so
Nice.
better than what some people have gotten. I'll give you that much. Also, if you haven't, make sure you go back and watch all of my other episodes if you get the chance to, for everybody that's watching now. And for that, we will sign out. H-Two, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you for having me, Tony.
Not a problem. I enjoyed it. Glad we finally got it out of the way.
Yeah.
Got it done with anyways, not necessarily out of the way, but still.
Right.
We will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching Tiger Talks Wrestling.